watching you to see what you're going to be doing. And it feels like you have an identity crisis. Like you don't know who you are. 1 minute a year ago, Trump is a horrible person. Kamala's going to win. Biden's going to win. I have no interest in running for office. Never, not at all. I love being a governor. And then this year, Trump wins. Then you say, oh, I got to start a podcast. America's going to the center. We got to find out to talk to the center. So you go and talk to all these Republicans. You talk to Benny, you talk to Kirk.
When Patrick Bet-David confronted Gavin Newsom about his sudden political shift, it sounded less like strategy and more like an identity crisis. 1 year he's dismissing a presidential run. The next he's launching a podcast and courting conservatives like Donald Trump supporters. So which version is real?
Podcast format, go for 3 hours, okay? And do it this way. You come to us, okay?
There you go.
We will guarantee 3 hours. We'll guarantee minimum $1 million to both just to participate to your campaign. We'll do a super chat. People will be able to call in, all that other stuff. But it shouldn't be 2 minutes. Oh, stop. No, okay. No, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
I want to see if Newsom can talk for 10 minutes with an answer, and I want to see if DeSantis can give a long answer. So What do you think about the issues that we're facing? And let it be a different kind of a format. You'll get the money's worth. I wouldn't go to CNN.
Watching Patrick Bet-David question Gavin Newsom feels like watching a sharp expert break down a flashy performance. It's focused, relentless, and strangely entertaining. With every point, the shine wears off, revealing a leader leaning more on smooth speeches and image than real results, as California struggles beneath the surface. Newsom's carefully crafted persona as a sleek, forward-thinking figure starts to fall apart under Patrick's scrutiny, exposing a politician who manages to rebrand failure as something polished and premium, like paying top dollar for something that turns out to be deeply flawed.
It happens because of ICE, so now this is an opportunity for you. Listen, no kings. We don't want a king. Trump's never said about being a king. And now you're trying to be Trump when Newsom was right about everything with the hat and all this other stuff. Who are you? Who's your marketing person? This is the most embarrassing campaign. Everybody's watching. Kamala was already the most embarrassing loss in the history of the Democratic Party for as long.
The first hit lands on California's reputation under Gavin. Once a symbol of the American dream, palm trees, innovation, beaches, opportunity, it now feels closer to an American nightmare. Patrick shows how leadership has shifted from real governing to polished virtue signaling sound bites. Homelessness grows, crime climbs, taxes squeeze families, and businesses pack up and leave. Yet Newsom carries himself like he's campaigning for president of the universe. Patrick makes one thing clear. Newsom isn't leading, he's performing, and California pays the price.
With great policies. If you and I were to compare Newsom and DeSantis, who's a better communicator? Newsom. Who is more physically attractive, tall, on camera, looks better? Newsom. Who likes the limelight more? Newsom. Who is probably more comfortable around people? Newsom. Do we give a shit about any of that stuff?
Patrick then breaks down Gavin's policies, especially his pandemic response, comparing it to burning down your own house and then bragging about saving a candle. California faced some of the strictest lockdowns in the country. Small businesses were crushed, families felt trapped, schools stayed closed far too long, and mental health suffered. Meanwhile, Newsom was spotted dining maskless at the French Laundry with lobbyists, enjoying fine wine and luxury meals, all while telling everyone else to stay home.
Same interviewer, by the way, coincidence, but go ahead.
Mind would want to run when you have someone of such esteem as our incumbent president of the United States, with a record of accomplishments and a man of character, a man of decency.
It becomes the perfect symbol of his leadership: strict rules for everyone else, comfort and luxury for himself. Patrick peels back the image of Gavin as an innovative progressive, revealing a leader who inherited one of the wealthiest states in the world and somehow drove it downhill while calling it modernization. Taxes rise, regulations tighten, and energy costs soar, each one weakening the engine that once powered California. Patrick sums it up clearly. Newsom is like a salesman who inherited a Ferrari, ran it out of gas, and still bragged about the shiny paint job. And when the topic turns to crime, Patrick doesn't pull any punches.
About the Democratic Party sometimes. It could be both sides. I think if they choose to eliminate Biden, it's going to be 2, 3, 4 stories on what they're going to say. He's choosing to step away due to health. My wife and I had a conversation. Jill, we're going to spend more time with the grandkids. If he doesn't do it, then they're going to come out and they're going to say, listen, man, we got a lot of dirt on you, bro. You got to kind of step away if you want to protect your legacy. You're 81. We're going to have somebody else come in here. Notice Newsom's been edifying you and propping you up, and Newsom trashes DeSantis and he's edifying you. So Newsom's going to come out and say, look, DeSantis is not loyal. How do you trust a man that wasn't loyal to the guy that helped him become a governor? Without Trump, DeSantis wouldn't.
It points to the absurdity of a state where criminals seem to get more protection than law-abiding citizens. Theft is nearly decriminalized below a certain amount, and entire neighborhoods look like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie. Companies like Walgreens and Target aren't shutting down stores for no reason. They're leaving because crime has become normalized. Patrick makes it clear, leadership isn't about press conferences or polished smiles. It's about keeping society working. By that measure, Gavin has failed badly. His image is sold as the answer to Trump or the defender of democracy, while disorder grows at home. Patrick reveals him as the neighbor boasting about a perfect lawn while his house is on fire. And not even smooth PR can hide the arrogance.
This is called chaos. Newsom responds at Trump yesterday multiple times. I think, is this the clip about him talking about, but this is different, Rob. This is, is this it?
Yeah, this is where he says fighting fire.
Okay, go for it, Rob.
Stand down. It's time to make another phone call to Greg Abbott. This time, instead of calling him and telling him you're quote unquote entitled to 5 congressional seats, it's time to tell him to stand down. It's time to recognize that democracy is at risk. It's time to, dare I say, do the right thing. Actually see how that feels for you, doing the right.
He then dives into the recall, reminding everyone that Californians didn't just complain, they tried to remove Gavin from office. It was aware and powerful rejection of his arrogance and poor leadership. But Gavin survived by turning the recall into a fear-driven spectacle, branding critics as extremists, and leaning on National Democratic Party machinery to protect himself. Patrick lays it bare. This isn't leadership. It's the selling of paranoia and illusions. Poverty grows, homelessness surges, schools fall behind. Yet Gavin spins it all as progress, rebranding failure as courage, incompetence as innovation, and chaos as compassion. It's not leadership, it's marketing taken to the extreme.
Career. And now people are sitting there worried and saying, are we ready if an earthquake happens? I honestly don't care if you're straight, gay, lesbian. I have no interest in any of that. Hiring you and you're talking about you want to increase diversity. That's not your job. Your job is to protect the families in the state of California.
He then zooms out to the national stage, explaining why the media protects Gavin as the Democratic Party worries about Joe Biden's age and Kamala Harris's low popularity. Gavin becomes their polished backup plan, a display model they hope voters confuse for real leadership. If California is his resume, a presidential run looks like a failed CEO pitching collapse as bold innovation. Patrick also calls out Gavin's arrogance, making it clear that entitlement is not leadership. The country doesn't need another smooth figurehead, it needs results. And based on California's track record, Gavin isn't the answer.
California will neutralize anything you do in the state of Texas. California will continue to punch above its weight. We believe in democracy. We believe in the enduring values of our founding fathers. 249 years. We're not going to sit back passively.
You can pause right there. Yesterday. Then there's another one. He puts a second threat, which, Rob, if you can go.
California will fight fire. Fire is probably not the metaphor that Gavin Newsom wanted.
That's true. That's a good idea. So, Rob, go to X real quick. So if you go to X right there, that's his last one. TikTok Donald. Texas governor demands, California governor demands Texas redistributing push threatens ballot measure. So that's a set.
What makes Patrick's critique hit so hard is the gap he exposes between reality and Gavin's fantasy. California shows clear signs of decline. Tents lining sidewalks, businesses shutting down, families moving away. While Gavin's speeches sell it as America's bright future. Patrick sharpens that contrast, revealing how performance has replaced real solutions and image has taken the place of leadership. His takedown only scratches the surface of deeper scandals, hypocrisy, and mismanagement. Gavin's story isn't just about California's slide. It's about ambition without accountability, image without integrity, and politics without results. And if the presidency is his aim, Patrick's exposure may be just the opening act of a much larger reckoning.
Newsom signed a thing that was incredible. He signed a bill that if you ask somebody for identification having to do with voting, I think you've committed a crime, okay? He signed a bill that you're not even allowed to ask for voter ID. In other words, it's not like you can't have voter ID. That's terrible. Because everybody should have voter ID. And you have ID for everything. The Democrats had big ID. You know, when they had their convention, a friend of mine couldn't get in. He said he doesn't have the proper credentials. They want voter ID. They had a strong ID. They had an ID that you had to wear, like a prisoner wears, you know, with a number. It was like this big card with a picture and everything over there.
The real question isn't whether Gavin looks presidential, it's whether America can handle another leader who puts image ahead of results. Patrick doesn't soften the message. Gavin's problems go far beyond homelessness, crime, and hypocrisy. Families who've lived in California for generations are leaving. Businesses are relocating to Texas, Florida, and Nevada. And anyone without deep roots is getting out fast, like racing for the last lifeboat on the Titanic. Energy policy is another mess. California, once seen as a model for renewables, now deals with rolling blackouts, sky-high utility bills, and a power grid that can't keep up with real-world demand. Patrick calls it exactly what it is: eviction through incompetence.
I'm going to pause here. Tom, I'm going to come to you here. What are your thoughts with everything that's going on with redistricting and gerrymandering? I have a bunch of other thoughts on this, why this is so important. But what are your thoughts on this, Tom?
Well, welcome to the sausage making that is American politics. You have right now Gavin Newsom using it to step up and do a pure leadership, a pure presidential, and to do this to put himself in the spotlight.
Californians are told to buy electric cars, then warned not to charge them because the power grid might fail. That's not progress, it's irony playing out in real life. Patrick takes aim at Gavin, a leader who talks non-stop about innovation but can't reliably keep the lights on in one of the richest states on earth. It's like claiming to be a world-class chef while running a kitchen full of rats. The California dream now seems reserved for billionaires and lobbyists, creating a growing two-tier society that expands with every year Gavin stays in power. Patrick also points to the cultural slide under Gavin's so-called progressive leadership, showing how cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles, once icons of American creativity, have become symbols of dysfunction and decline.
For president, well, it's because he's obviously a winner.
Define a winner.
He's a smart, real guy with a pair of balls.
What areas has Newsom won in? You said he's a winner.
Winner of the election.
But based on what, though? Do you want results? Like, what has he done to California to say he's a winner?
Oh, God. I don't know. It's too... I've been doing political commentary on television.
Once the jewel of the West Coast, it is now a symbol of urban collapse. Sidewalks scattered with needles, storefronts boarded up, and tourists steering clear like it's a danger zone. Los Angeles, the entertainment capital of the world, can't even promise safe streets or reliable public services. Patrick lays it out plainly. These cities are warnings of what happens when leaders trade order and accountability for empty virtue signaling. Gavin never fully owns the outcomes of his policies because accountability would crack the carefully polished image. Patrick calls out that avoidance, wanting praise without consequences, applause without responsibility. That's not leadership. It's political theater, and California is the one paying the price. He also points to Gavin's deep ties to political dynasties and special interests, reminding everyone this isn't a self-made leader rising from the ground up.
And every time he says, you take a shot, you'll be fucking hammered within 3 minutes.
It's actually a pretty good drinking game. You know, this guy lost $1 trillion of money under management that left the state of California last 4 years.
Yeah, and he's done nothing to make people want to come back or stay. He's making it worse.
But that goes back to the idea when you're saying Trump versus, Kamala or any of this stuff. To me, it goes basics to economy. You lost 2 people due to economy. And Elon Musk, he says, I got a vengeance to get back to these guys because what did he say about his losing his son?
He said that.
So my son Xavier is dead. Killed by the woke mind virus.
And he was setting out to destroy the woke mind virus.
And he's
privileged and lifted by networks of wealth and influence that smoothed his path upward. He's not a champion of the people. Gavin comes across as the aristocrat of American politics, carefully polished by handlers to look like the future. Patrick shows that beneath the slick branding, Gavin is less a leader and more a product, a designer label packaged and sold to voters. The sharpest contrast is this. While billionaires flourish, everyday people can't afford rent. That's the Gavin model. Patrick issues a warning. It doesn't stop with California. Given a national stage, Newsom would export the same chaos, rebranding dysfunction as progress while the country spirals.
We literally don't care about that. We care about results. What did DeSantis do when there was a hurricane and a bridge went down? 2-3 days it's built up. What happened when all the issues, what's going on in the state of Florida? Like this. What happened when he, at some points they had certain policies during COVID that they didn't like, and boom, within a week or two they adjusted. But it was like this, right? It was so quick the way they were doing it, and that's a sign of a great leader. So
it's all political theater, especially his public feuds with Republican governors like Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott. Gavin plays the moral superior, firing off tweets and performing for the cameras while California crumbles behind him, yelling across the street as his own roof caves in. His speeches about equity, progress, and compassion sound inspiring, but the lived reality tells a different story. Equity pushes out the middle class. Progress delivers rolling blackouts. Compassion leaves 10 cities to decay while the wealthy dine in comfort. Patrick slices through the illusion with precision, exposing the rot hiding beneath the polished words.
What perspective I'm coming from? I'm coming from just watching a competitor from a side that maybe I don't agree with politically. I don't know what you're trying to do, but whoever's on your marketing team, whatever advice they're giving you, this is probably worse than Kamala's campaign we saw. Trump said no tips. Kamala next week said no tips. Trump is right about everything. He wears the hat. You post and pin the hat all the way up at the top that you were right about everything with the red hat. You understand, like, imitation is the ultimate level of flattery. Like, you're showing so much respect for Trump, it's not even funny. I think it's a good idea for you to take a time out for maybe a month and go.
Patrick Bet David doesn't end the story on Gavin Newsom. He leaves the audience wanting more. With scandals, donor connections, and policy failures piling up, one thing becomes clear. Simply surviving isn't leadership, and California's decline shows it. Newsom isn't a savior, he's a salesman pushing a product no one should want. Every shiny statistic and polished press conference falls apart when it meets real life. He's the perfect example of how far spin can go before it snaps. Leadership is judged by results, not photo ops, and by that standard, Newsom fails in dramatic fashion.